Occasionally, the indie dev scene releases a few interesting gems that never see any serious coverage, but probably deserve a great bit more of it than the majority of mainstream titles. And Solar 2 really is one of these rare games. Solar 2 has gotten some valuable time under the eyes of Giant Bomb and Rock Paper Shotgun, but it's still been largely ignored by just about everyone else. Solar 2 is special because the indie developer Murudai, if I'm pronouncing that properly, managed to combine the gameplay elements of that game company's Flow and that first microbial stage of Spore, if you remember that. And they threw it into an unrestricted sandbox and made it all about space. You can't really go wrong with space. Solar 2 starts players off as a tiny little asteroid. And the really only way to progress is to smash into other asteroids, thereby increasing your mass. As you continue to increase your mass by smashing into other asteroids, you'll become a planet. And of course, a planet is a much larger mass than an asteroid, and you'll get a gravitational pull. And you can pull in a ton of other asteroids into your gravity field, thereby allowing you to collect more mass on a larger scale. After a couple of minutes of flying around as your planet and collecting asteroids, your planet will evolve, basically, and become habitable to life. Now, forgetting all the little nitpicky evolutionary levels, life on a planet equates to spaceships, and your planet will start launching off these tiny little ships that'll start blowing stuff up. Aside from that, your planet will also develop some defensive laser cannons and a shield. As you encounter other planets out there, your ships will go off and attack them, and eventually as your ships and the life on your world levels up, they'll start sending off more powerful, better ships, from bombers to larger capital-sized ships that can attack other planets directly. Of course, the ships are a double-edged sword. In one capacity, they'll protect you from the aggressive forces of other aliens, and in another, they'll blow up asteroids that you need to increase the mass of your planet. Now, unfortunately for the aliens of your world, collecting enough mass means that your planet will become a sun or a star. Now, when you become a star, things change around a lot. Instead of being stuck to the relatively minuscule gravity of a planet, you're now in possession of this massive gravity field capable of sucking up other planets entirely to become a part of your overall solar system. Now, the more massive your star, the more planets that you can hold, up to a total of 10. Now, when your star planets act just like the one you were a few minutes ago, they level up to support life, and eventually they actually become stars themselves as they suck down the asteroids that fall into their gravitational fields. And eventually, as they become a star, they'll add to your solar system, and eventually you'll start to control a binary, trinary, quadruple, quintuple, and even dodeca star system. Now, eventually, as you add to your mass the stars in your solar system, one of them will turn into a black hole. And once that point happens, everything of the game basically changes. You can no longer go about and do the goals that the game would have you do, because you're just this endless vacuum sucking up the mass of the universe. And eventually, you suck down more and more mass, and the only thing you can't suck down is a black hole larger than you are. So you avoid those, and eventually you can just suck in everything and you destroy the universe in a big crunch. Now, while you're flying around in this relative sandbox, there are some missions that the game would have you do. They tend not to make much sense. The more important thing to consider is that the missions are really, really, really hard. I mean, seriously difficult. Like, they're so difficult that by the time I made this review, I haven't actually completed the game. And that's after 40 hours of playing it. Yeah. Now, once you do complete the game, though, you play through all the missions. There are apparently a bunch of physics tools and god options available that you can unlock that allow you to manipulate the world of Solar 2, or I should say the universe of Solar 2, in some pretty variable ways. You can spawn anything you want, you can throw things around and mess with the gravity and physics options of the game to pretty cool degrees. The game is, of course, equipped with a full array of Steam achievements. Some of them pretty neat, like you have to get you have to be able to complete an entire 10-planet solar system with all the planets moving in a clockwise formation. That's a lot more difficult than you might think. Now, as you can see from these videos, Solar 2 is actually quite a beautiful game. Surprisingly, considering its relative indie status and the fact that only one guy made it. Now, there's tons of different planets, each with their own different textures. Probably the thing most worth mentioning about the graphics are the GUI, the interface. It's got a series of very informative layers that basically overlay everything that's going on in the game and tell you pretty much exactly what you need to know. It lays out the orbital paths of everything in your solar system, trajectory lines so you can figure out what's going where, that sort of thing. Another thing worth mentioning is the absolutely brilliant soundtrack done to this game. It really has a lot of techno, spacey, ambient vibes to it, and it really helps to set the flow and the pace of the game. And since the game has been relatively successful on Steam, the developer has decided to release the entire OST for free, which you can grab from their website. Now, while Solar 2 in itself is actually quite a fun game, you really can't help but think what could have been done if the developer Murudai had more resources and money to tap into in the development of this thing. Now, as far as I know, it's just the one guy. And, you know, right now the game is currently on sale on Steam for $5, so buy it.